Well, welcome back. It's been a bit of a break. Just been collecting logs and whatnot, and working on another application, which is my own smoothing application. I thought wasn't really happy with how Woolich's smoothing works. It doesn't sort of allow you to lock areas that you don't want adjusted, but that's kind of irrelevant. Not really here to talk about that today. I've got a full day's worth of writing from last weekend where I need to do the auto-tune. Another thing that happened in the meantime was Woolwich has pushed out about 3 updates to their software, and I lost the settings again. So I've actually come to the auto-tune settings. Let's see. And everything opens on the other screen. So yeah, all of these gone. And I think last time I made sure to actually screenshot them after they lost them, but I've come up with a better way of doing that. I thought, no, bugger it, where are they storing their settings? So I looked in the usual spots in the file system for file system based config. Couldn't find any files, even though I was changing things. None of the dates were changing. All their files are all binary. It's not really an issue, but obviously, because like their log file, you can just decode it. But anyway, yeah, I lost all of my settings for here. And discovered where they were. So they're actually in the registry. Now there's a lot of other stuff in here, like all your keys and things like that. So yeah, probably not a bad idea to just back up the entire key. But if you don't know what you're doing in the registry, it can be a bit intimidating, but for the most part it's actually pretty simple. Just go to the particular key, so it's current user software Woolich Racing Tuned, and just export that key. And type in the name of it, whatnot, and that will back up all your settings. So that will back up the keys and stuff like that. The next thing you want to do is you want to go and edit that file and take out everything that's not relevant. So if I come in and have a look at that file, so yeah, if we have a look in here, so if you do the export, you'll find there's a hell of a lot more stuff in it than what is in this. But basically I've cut out or removed everything that isn't auto-tune related, except the wideband definition, but they're default, so I'm not too worried about that. And this will do it. So keeping all of this stuff here, next time they kill my settings, it's just a matter of coming in here and right click merge. So I'm saving that in my repo, and and I'm making sure I'm committing the pictures just in case as well. And yeah, so now it's like, settings are gone, don't want to have to manually enter them, just come in, right click, merge, and relaunch the application. I'm good to go. Now, another thing I was doing was just having a reassessment of the changes I've been making, because and was thinking about, the settings themselves. Should I have chosen different settings? I know I was very, very cautious. So at the moment these settings aren't, I've been playing with them. So I've turned the auto-tune strength up. I've turned the maximum percentage change up. I think I've run at 6 the whole time, and I think I've run this at 70. I mean, yeah, ultimately I believe I can just go back to it. Well, actually these will be the current ones. So if you're not sure, there you go, 15% maximum cell change, 100% auto-tune strength. So that's the registry settings. That lines up with what you're seeing here. Yeah, I've got a printout of my screenshot here. So yeah, I have been running 6 for this. So basically it means I have to apply it 3 times to get, don't check that in the calculator, but yeah, I have to apply it multiple times to get close to what I might get in one jump. And in hindsight, I shouldn't have dropped that down. I was just being excessively cautious, but Yeah, it doesn't kill me. I've got all the time in the world. I'm not some tuner with a bike strapped to a dyno, charging by the hour and trying to get it done as quick as possible. Um, so yeah, not really a big drama there. So yeah, it was playing with these different settings, and I just wanted to see how much it would vary. But I was also too wanting to have a look through the viewer and a couple of different things. I wanted to sort of see how well it was working. And one thing I came across was this one here, where it's only 14.7, but it's obviously on a high, well, closed off throttle and a high inlet pressure. And I'm like, oh, okay, what's going on here? So this will be in the IAP map, and uh, so I went sort of having a look at the Autotune value. So okay, I'm in the IAP Autotune, and I open up all my log files. So these are filtered ones, and I sort of noted down the area. It was around 4,000 RPM. It was 6th gear, so yeah, closed throttle, just engine braking in 6th gear. Touch lean, not an area I'm in often, but I thought I better check it. So we've got 4,000 RPM, 6th gear. This is logged AFR. Is it IAP? Yeah. So let's go 6th gear. Okay, and we're talking, yeah, between 50 to 70, and I'm like, okay, I'm not seeing 14.7 in here. And then I kind of, well, actually I'm seeing a 14.6 somewhere. Which one's that? That one. But then I had to think about it, and it was like, oh, it's probably because in my filter thing, I'm filtering out, well, I was filtering out, I've actually just changed it, I've just got to rerun it, but anything where the electronic throttle valve was less than 1.2, which was basically the first two, we got closed throttle basically. And I thought, no, so I'm actually modifying that. So if it's gears, actually I'll make it, yeah, if it's gears 1, 2 and 3, then I'll filter it out because that's the lower gears I'm genuinely engine braking. Um, uh, if it's in gears 4, 5 and 6, yeah, I actually want to know about that because, you know, in those, well, whatever. So I'm modifying that, and I'm going to have to recreate all of my logs, or refilter all the logs, and hopefully that will show up. So I'll just do that now, and it's actually quite tedious. So if I run that, anyway. So, actually on the topic of this thing, uh, let's see, where are we? Yeah, on the topic of this thing, uh, let's get rid of all of these. Actually, let's close Autotune. God, Windows 11 sucks. Okay, so let's get rid of these. It doesn't want me to do it from here. Because it is an open file dialog, so 86, yeah, here's the tedium of it. I should actually just do, and why didn't it remember where it was? So there's a few well, yeah, see, I don't blame Woolich for their quirks, I've got my own. It's just the things you have time to get around to. Where have we got? Let's put it. Okay, 88. So Okay, so back on the topic of this. Uh, yeah, I put it up on GitHub. I tried to get a build happening. GitHub doesn't like the .NET Framework build pipelines, and there's also some quirks about how to generate releases and how to get files into it and all that. And not easy. Very, very time consuming because I'm going to have to work it out myself. I don't haven't set up a lot of them. Well, I've set up none in GitHub, so this is my first time using GitHub's CI/CD, continuous deployment, continuous integration. So basically, they build pipelines. Yeah, not easy to use, poorly documented, non-existent documentation with respect to .NET Framework. It's not really, literally it's got nothing. So what I had to do was basically do a lot of Googling and try and find some people that had tried to do it. I can do the builds, get it built without a problem, that's not an issue. And I can create an artifact that can be you can basically download the zip file of the exe from the artifacts, I believe, but I can't do a release because I asked on Stack Overflow. That's always or Stack Exchange, Stack Overflow, whatever. It's always a fun exercise because you get there's sort of a handful of groups of people on there. There's the ones who want to mark it a duplicate. When you point out it's not a duplicate in your initial question, they have a big sook and downvote you. Then there's the ones who, they just try to build their reputation, so they want a nice, quick, easy answer. So they get the shits and they downvote you because you posted a question they can't answer. There's the other lot that like to edit, so they like to get in and edit because they get reputation points for that. And I had one twit on one question. I don't know if it was related to this, and they actually went and actually I think it was related to this. So how to do the build process, and the idiot edited the question and then popped in an answer. He answered it what he edited it to, but he took out all the important stuff, which was the .NET Framework components, and then he put in an answer for basically a Linux build. And it's like, you freaking idiots. So this is the type of people we've got to deal with on Stack Overflow. Every single one of those people should be bloody kicked off it. Unfortunately, they're the dominant ones there, and these are people who, if you can spend all your time on Stack Overflow, you're not actually a coder, because developers don't actually have time to live on Stack Overflow answering questions. So you might find one person who comes on looking for one thing, works it out, and they'll go back and they'll put a really genuine answer. So you tend to, the people with the massive reputations that live on there, they don't actually do software for their life, for their job, for their day-to-day. Your average person asking questions has probably got more experience than the people trying to climb over themselves to answer just the most basic ones. And that's why they get the shits when you ask a hard one, because they know they've been caught out. Anyway, but GitHub's build processes do not like people doing WinForms applications written in .NET Framework. It wasn't ideal. I probably should have used .NET Core. Not that I think that would have mattered. The process is very similar, although potentially I could have built it on a full Linux and not be having to swap the runs as. But that's getting off topic. Anyway, anyone who wants it, well, you can grab it. I think from the artifacts, you're just going to have to just trust it. Obviously the artifacts that are there are built from what's there. If it doesn't run with any permissions or doesn't ask for admin like woolich does and all that sort of stuff. So if you let woolich have full access to your machine, trust this, it's open source, or just download it. You can download Visual Studio Community, and you'll be right, and you can build it yourself. But ultimately, it's up there. I haven't got around to doing another one for the maps yet. I've sort of been busy writing. Last weekend was excellent writing weather, so I took advantage of it. Got a nice photo because one of the photographers was hanging out on one of the good corners. But anyway, that's this. So yeah, if you want it, I think I'm just going to have to park it. I'm not going to, unless something magical happens to GitHub. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to get a build happening on it. And yeah, it's just the way it is. But hey, the code's out there, and it's to everyone's. Yeah, it's available for everyone. So yeah. Now back to tuning. Let's see. We've just changed this. So damn, Windows 11 sucks. So we've got the log viewer. Where's Autotune? Autotune's on this other screen. So I'll bring that in. And I thought I'd closed it down. Anyway. Or did I have multiples open? So let's see what we got. Opening log files. I'll just reopen them all. Okay, it's loading. Okay, got a bit more data. So possibly not the data we were looking for. Still chopped it out. So it was around 4,000 RPM. And it was in 6th gear. So let's see. Oh, it might have been up in the higher areas. 14%. There it is. Ah, so this could be. Yeah, it's logged it as high. So cool. Found it. So now it's going to tune based on that. Now it's got some lower stuff. I don't know what gears these were in. Gear 6. Gear 6, gear 6. I like how these aren't grouped. Now these, so I think I figured it out. These things here, it's like adjacent data, so it doesn't want to put too much strength on it. So it groups them together. That's part of the filtering. So that's part of, let's see. Where is it? Time window, maybe that one. So stuff that falls in that window will get grouped together. Could be wrong. It could be one of these other settings, but basically, actually no, it probably is that one. Yeah, so it's a way of basically grouping stuff together over a period of time and putting less value on it. Actually, while we're here, let's make it 250 milliseconds. See what it does. Where'd that go? Okay. Let's go 6th gear. .5. Yeah, they look. Let's see. We had a gap down here. Yeah, I think it's. Yeah. So there we go. It's definitely got that marked as being lean in 6th gear. So if we do all the gears, the full map. Cool. So that's what we want to see now. This one is running with the maximum 15% change and 100% auto tune strength. So let's see, let's look at the values it wants to change. So it actually wants to make some significant changes around here and here. So obviously they were, well, moving a bit slower for it, but everything else, it's actually pretty tame. That one's above 6, so that would have been capped at 6 before, or maybe maybe it wouldn't have been. So let's go back. Let's put the strength back to 70 and see what it does. Because yeah, my goal at the moment is to try and wrap this up, just get it done, not be mucking around with it. So yeah, it's toned down to 4.5, even though it can go up to 15. These are toned down under 10%. So I think I will, yeah, you can see actually a lot of these changes are just minimal. Yeah, less than 1%. 2% around here, but yeah, most of this is done. Some of these, no change. You know, this one here, no change, no change, no change. It's happy with it. So yeah, it's almost done, which is not a bad thing. And in some other areas, it's the first time really getting some data in them, I think. So yeah, as it stands, I think, because I do want to wind it up, what I will do is actually come back and I'll put this to 80. So these are the things. I probably should have left it at 80 the first time. And I should have left it at 10%. So let's see what we got. Because yeah, I am getting impatient with it. Okay, so these, yeah, still quite high. Wants to make some big changes. This one over here, it's under 6, so that would have been less than the maximum from before. And yeah, so let's see where we were, about 4,000. So there's a lot of other data in here. That 6 gear, whoa, 15. I wonder what circumstances brought that on. Let's see, IAP is very high. So that's closed throttle, gear 3 engine braking. Yeah, there's not enough load on the engine for that to be a huge problem. It's kind of expected. And that actually also could be because of the dumping fuel in from the engine braking, the popping and stuff like that. So the things you've got to think about, you don't just see the numbers and go, panic, panic, panic. That AFR could be down because the fuel's just not being burnt. Anyway, someone will probably say that's wrong, and now that I think about it, probably is wrong. If there's fuel going through, it should be coming in as super rich. So yeah, anyway, it is what it is. So I'm going to apply this. I'm kind of happy with it. Let's have a quick look at what the graph looks like. So let's graph it, and the original, what we're going from, into interesting dip through here. And let's change there. So it's not really that much change. I think that really has actually smoothed it out. Yeah, so I'll apply that. Okay, now probably shouldn't change this while it's on graph. Okay. Oh, nice dip through the middle there. What's going on there? Do not like the look of that. Okay, so let's come back to, not that far. Oh, get off the graph. Okay. I previously looked at these. These are legit, so I need to adjust based upon them. I was like, oh, what's going on there? It's just areas where I haven't actually hit data points before. Don't know why it's making changes up in the 1650 area. Let's go back to, well, go back to the percentage map change. There's nothing in that area. And let's have a look at the graph. Oh, yeah, okay. So the graph was just completely confused with what it was looking at while I was jumping around. Another quirk in the software, but as we sort of saw when I'm dealing with the log file decoder, it's like, yeah, I've got my own minor bugs. It's like, you just accept, yeah, you own up to them. You go, yeah, they're there. I don't have time to fix them right now. It's still usable. And, and that's why I hold no animosity to any of Woolich's decisions. It's like, okay, it is what it is. So let's see, the original, what we're changing it to, that's really fleshed that out. It's smoothed out that peak that was there a bit. So yeah, it's obviously adjusting back and forth. Cool. Apply that. Now, next thing I did, if I have it, is I was playing with the fuel maps again. Or sorry, not fuel maps. This has got fuel maps in it. The file's called fuel maps, but this is my electronic throttle valve smoothing. So let's close this auto-tune thing. Graph, close. And this is our actual map. So close that. Now, this is Excel file I sort of put together with the graphs, and these are the different sort of axes, across one way, across the other way. And they used to have a real sort of concave dip in it, and that is, sorry, I'm opening it up on the other screen. So other maps, electronic throttle valve. So here we go. Okay, so if I go gear 3, mode 1, 3D graph, so you can see the dip in this. So these lines here going in this axis, these are these lines here. So you notice these are almost straight, except for the rendering issue in Excel, where it's got a nice little step there. Thank you, Windows 11. So if I come to here, if I go, I'd previously done some tweaks to 4, 5 and 6 in mode 1, and just to sort of smooth the curve out. So if you have a look at the difference between 3, see it's very sharp, pointy. So as you're riding along, you'll get sudden jumps as it moves from one cell to the next, which you don't sort of want. On that note, so someone on Facebook was asking about, well, they hit a speed bump, and their wrist sort of turned the throttle. Sorry, not a speed bump, pothole. Jerked their wrist, cranked on the throttle, and of course the bike took off. As we've seen from the log viewers, the transition between what you do to the throttle coming in and the ETV updating, is actually 0.1 of a second total. So the throttle's really responsive. So how do you have it not responsive? It's like, well, you can't. The only way you can have it not responsive is when it jumps from one cell to the next and there's no real transition. But where are you cruising? Are you cruising in what gear at what revs? It's like, well, I might cruise on one road at 80 kilometers an hour, I might cruise on that same road the next week at 85. I might cruise the same road the next week at 90, or the week after at 75. So all of those different cruising speeds are all in different cells. So you can't just sort of smooth it out with completely flattening your curve. But the poor bugger asked if if a tune would fix it, and of course the tune zealots got on and went, it'll totally transform your bike. And another person who is actually pretty good, he does have a good tune. He's one of the tuners that's around there that does pre sort of configured flash. He said, well, yeah, it is a lot smoother, but he didn't really answer the question. So smoother is taking away these sharp points, all right, but you can play with this to your heart's content. It's not going to get rid of that 0.1 second throttle response. It's not going to get rid of that 0.1% that goes from and literally we almost can't see it. So 10 to 8, and yeah, it takes, so 10 to 8, but you notice the ETV hasn't changed, 4.2, boom. But the next one, it's down to 1.8, all right? So, and that's the minimum amount that these change. So it's barely half a milli, 0.01 of, sorry, 0.05 of a second. Anyway, so yeah, you can play with this all you want. It's not going to change how responsive the ECU is. But it was a case of just not understanding the question, which, well, it's Facebook, so what do you expect? It's just one step up from Reddit. Anyway, coming back to this, what have I done? Or what are you looking at here? So dug out the HP calculator and wrote a little program into it. So I've got an old 30-year-old vintage 32S2 RPN calculator from my days as a surveyor, and used it to smooth out or calculate where I wanted to be, and boom, gear 5. So actually, let's have a look at that dip in here. That's an interesting one. Oh, gear 5 almost straight, so on every axis. And yeah, gear 6 is the same, it's just got that bit extra. I mean, I don't need to worry about this coming on harsh, because it's gear 5 and 6. I'm already going quick if I'm up there. And let's see, so yeah, effectively these are those axes running along the back. So it's these axes here, and yeah, they're very, very linear now, until you hit sort of this peak at the top where it does taper off slowly at the top. So and yeah, if you want to have a look at what it is along here, these are reasonably smooth. So this is, I think, covering it before, this is this axis. So this is as you actually open the throttle as you're going. In reality, if you just hold it at a throttle position and it accelerates, you'll actually be going up this way because the RPMs will be increasing. So it would have been great if they actually showed this with the axis rotated. And it's one of the reasons I want to do the smoothing, is I actually want to look at the transition, not from this cell to here, or from here, or from here, or from here. I want to actually look at the diagonal transitions, these ones, because these should be pretty flat, and these ones are the ones that you really care about going up here. But they're quite difficult to sort of visualize, but that looks pretty smooth. So that's going to be loaded on for my 5 and 6. 6 just, yeah, it's got that little bit extra after the rev limiter, not that it matters. So that's that, and of course, yeah, I had to do it in Excel because the smoothing's not that crash hot. in woolich software, but as I keep saying, you just live with the quirks. There's always other tools out there to do it. So we'll save that. Now, let's see. I'll save my bin file. Sorry, I'm doing it off screen. And yeah, just to recap, get yourself a copy of your settings so you don't lose them. If you're doing multiple bikes, so if you're a tuner, hey, advice for tuners: if you're a tuner and you want to have a whole heap of fixed settings for different bikes, and you don't want to sit there manually updating them by hand. When you go and set it up for a particular bike, come in, do an extract of it, delete everything but the auto-tune things, and then just save it as, MT09, auto-tune MT09, or auto-tune, step 1 MT first run. If you want to have higher settings for the first run and then lower settings for or less aggressive settings for later runs, if you're doing multiple tuning runs. So that allows you to switch between them without too much of a problem. So yeah, and make them part of your save program. So if you're doing Kawasaki's and Suzuki's, or you've got multiple, an MT10, or you've got an MT, you can, and all the exhausts are different. So the wideband O2 sensor port will be positioned differently on a whole heap of different exhausts. So this gives you the opportunity of saying, hey, I want it to be here, or I want it to be there. And just save those settings. So next time someone says, I've got exhaust X, bang, you've got those settings, rather than having to muck around with having to type them in each time. Anyway, I've yammered on for too long. Going to call this done. And, well, actually, let's prove that I'm calling it done. I'll come back to here, and I've got my changes. So I'm going to commit this. What version are we up to? V9. See, 9 iterations. That's kind of why I'm sorry, I'm just cancelling this on the other screen because it came up, so I'll do the whole folder. But yeah, I'm up to my 9th iteration, and let's see, sorry, just the git thing, like, what do I want to add in that I haven't? Anyway, I think that's it, just the ones I've marked. 9 changes, fuel map changes. Mode 1 ETV map and 6, and yeah, push, and that is now backed up on the server. You didn't see the push, it was off the other screen. So yeah, thank you. I'll push up that different filter. Oh yeah, one of the things I was thinking about is I'm pretty much done with this. I am going to play with the, I've been waiting off AliExpress for some connectors for the O2 sensor, and I think they got lost. It happens occasionally. AliExpress is really good for that, because even if it gets lost, you get your money back, so it's not a big deal. The only thing you lose is time. But hey, the average person's got plenty of years of time, so what's a bit here and there if there's a bit of a delay. Anyway, ordered some more just because I expect they'll arrive before the original ones I ordered, and it doesn't hurt if I've got more than one. But I'm going to be playing with the O2 sensor. I do not believe, and it's actually coming back to this, back to woolich, I do not believe that the closed loop actually works to completely disable the O2 sensor. I believe the O2 sensor is still in play, because I get the bike revving really high when I'm riding. And yeah, it shouldn't be doing that. And other people are going, oh, I've got a tune, but the bike's, playing up. And it was like, well, the only thing it could be is potentially your O2 sensor. It's the only thing in the path. And they go and remove the O2 sensor. It's, oh, it's smoothed out again. It was like, right. So as much as this disable close loop option is there, I don't believe it works. Or I don't believe it works as everyone thinks it does. So yeah, one of the things I'll do is when I can get the connector, I'll run a cable up to, I'll wire it up, and I'll run a cable up to the handlebars, and I'll put a little potentiometer on it, and sit there and play with different values going in, and work out, just get a feel for what I can do, because I do want to put in O2 sensor delete. I sat there on the lathe last weekend, and machined a bung to go into the O2 sensor on the stock exhaust. Well, because it's a modified stock exhaust. So yeah, I do want the O2 sensor out, but I don't want it out in a way that's going to cause issues. And yeah, at the moment, the fact that it just revs crazy when I come to a stop, and it takes probably 3 or 4 seconds to come down to the idle speed, is, yeah, it's kind of frustrating. About the only thing in the loop is the O2 sensor, and it never did it with it in. So of course, once I reach the end of this and I disconnect the wideband O2 sensor and the Zytronics logger, and I put the original one back in, just to have just to ride around and confirm. If that behavior continues, then I know that it's the lack of O2 sensor. Well, probably the other way around. Yeah, if that behavior stops, I know it's the O2 sensor. If the behavior continues, I know it's not the O2 sensor, and there's something else in the mapping, in which case I'll probably just have to live with it. Anyway, that's it. Calling it done. And yeah, thanks for being here. So catch you later.